And we got bad news over the last week. I was at actually the Legends of the Ring convention in Monroe, New Jersey. More on that later. And we heard about the passing of Adam West. And of course, he was 88 years old. So he lived a full life, and you're sorry, but at the same time, it's understandable. My God, how much longer could a person live? But what he meant to everybody's childhood that is of a certain age, the Batman TV series from 66 to 68, but then he's still relevant, as the kids say today, as the mayor of Quahog. And now I'm just wondering who's going to be the mayor of Quahog next season. This is going to be something we got to pay attention to. But, Adam West, I got to tell you, I was 4 years old, just about to turn 5. When Batman debuted on television, and of course, Adam West had been an actor before then, but that was what he will be forever identified with. And I was actually, and we haven't talked about this on the program, but I was a pretty good reader. I read at a much higher level than my age indicated back in those days, because my mom and dad, my dad used to sit me on his lap, and we had books, which I still have down in the bar area of Castle Cornette, in the built-in bookshelves that my dad built himself in the 50s out of that beautiful cypress paneling. And he would read to me, and then he would ask me to then turn around and read back. And actually it was my mom and dad, when they would have people over, I was a parlor trick. They used to have, a little 5-year-old kid, read this book, Jimmy. And I would read and astonish people with my grasp of reading and comprehension of words, etc. But that was because, the books I was reading, and of course the Three Little Pigs, but some more complicated than others. But this is my first memory, one of my first memories of television. My first memory, as I've talked about, of television was the Kennedy funeral. But one of my first memories of entertainment television was when Batman came on the air, and I would have my mom run down. I would scream, "Mama, Mama, Mama, Mama." And she would read the sound effects to me on the screen. Pow, bam, zowie, whack. Because those words were not really in a lot of the books I was reading. And if I'd never seen a word before at that age, it was a challenge. So that's how I learned to read, fighting sound effects from my mom reading them to me when Batman came on the air. And twice a week, I believe it was Tuesdays and Wednesdays on the ABC network, Batman. And the first night it would say, tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. And the cool shit from the Batmobile to the Batcave to the incredible gimmicks they had, and Alfred and the Bat phone. It shaped, and I'm not alone in this, there was a lot of people, it shaped, you're too young. It shaped our childhood. We used to, when I was in school, like in second and third grade, we used to have Batman fights in study hall. When the teacher would leave the room, all of a sudden we'd be taking bumps over the desk, which actually kind of, prepped me for the career I would have. But we'd be taking these stuntman bumps over desks and hitting each other with shit working. Because before wrestling, there wasn't even any wrestling on TV in Louisville then, but we were doing Batman fights. And then the teacher would come back in and see all the shit strewn around in a disarray, and everybody's sweating and breathing heavy. And what have you people been doing? But it was just such a cool TV show, and it's timeless. And I got a chance to go see, my mom had to take me to see the Batman movie when that came out. And, so all the things he's done since then, and even the Family Guy appearances, will take second place. And I think Jerry Lawler said it best when he tweeted that he heard about Adam West passing away, and he said, "I'm going to go drive the Batmobile in his honor." And then somebody else tweeted, I aspire to have that status in my life where I can just say, I'm going to go drive the Batmobile in somebody's honor. And Lawler has one. We've talked about that. But anyway, just an irreplaceable part of a lot of our childhoods. And of course, Lawler had and this has been tweeted out, the interaction with Adam West when he came to Memphis for the custom car show, and I believe it was 1976, and the footage still exists. I've had it for years because I borrowed it from Jerry and taped it off for myself, but now it's on YouTube and been on Twitter and everything of the evil super king of Memphis facing Batman, who he had the mask on and kind of a half-ass cowl, and then he was dressed in, sweats or whatever, but Adam West had been out on Beale Street all night the night before, and he was still somewhat toasty. And he comes in, and that's where, of course, Bolin and I, and it's been made famous, if you just use the left and right turn indicators in your car and you would be a fine person, I know you would, So anyway, it shaped a lot of our lives. Did you ever have any interaction with Adam West?
Any actual interaction or watching him on TV?
or just whatever, watching or personal,
sure,
whatever.
All throughout the 80s, it was on TV up here in New York, and especially when I guess it would have been 1989 when the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson film came out. They started airing that show on TV again up here, and I always loved it. I always thought it was the coolest show. I'm a big mark for those campy late 60s television shows. The look, the feel, the music, the pacing. I really love that stuff, and it's just always been such a cool show, and I've always loved Adam West because of it. And a couple of years ago, I don't know if you would have seen it, there was a documentary they made about him called Starring Adam West. Did you ever see it?
I have not seen that.
It's really, really good. I'll see what I could do about getting you a copy of it. They made a documentary about his quest to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because he doesn't, surprisingly.
Oh.
And it's a really cool movie. It goes through his whole career. And, he's one of these guys, too. And I think he accepted it eventually and embraced it. But like Fred Gwynn, Adam West is like that same kind of guy who's an actual trained actor. Someone who had good roles. But
they were typecast in these gimmick roles, but they were, accomplished actors.
Right. And actually that lent itself so much to the characters they played. Fred Gwynn actually figured out how to play a perfect, goofy Frankenstein. And Adam West was perfect as Batman to the point where, I liked Michael Keaton. I think there were different people at different times who have had some good moments in the role, but I always think back to him when I think of someone playing Batman. It's always Adam West.
Oh, he's synonymous. And another thing, the colors were so bright and so vibrant. And whenever they shot the heels lair, whether it be Mr. Freeze or the Catwoman or Joker or Riddler, whatever, they have what is in the industry called a Dutch tilt, where everything was tilted a little bit. The camera angle was tilted and it was off kilter. But because color TV, and of course, Superman in the 50s, they shot a couple of the seasons in color, and Bonanza had been in color on NBC since it debuted in 1959, but really color television. And I remember when I started watching TV, it was in black and white. That's how old I am, for the most part. And we had a black and white television. And then in 1966, which I believe was the year that I remember the spots for Bewitched in color. Because the first seasons of Bewitched were in black and white. And then suddenly, 66, a lot of shows switched over. And NBC had been a pioneer, but ABC joined the bandwagon. And my father, obviously, was an executive at the Courier Journal here in Louisville. And one of his perks was the company bought him the old console color TV, which it was like cherry wood, and it was a piece of furniture back then. It was a big deal to have one of these console color TVs, and they gave it to him as one of the perks of his employment, and it was delivered. And I remember sitting in front of that thing, and you couldn't run the vacuum cleaner close in front of it because it would screw up the thermostat or whatever. And if the color got off, a TV repairman had to come in and wave this circular, I don't know what the fuck in front of it. I'm 5 years old, so what the fuck do I know? To set everything back, and the color bars, you tuned everything with that. But one of the first TV programs that I actually got to see in color, as primitive as this sounds, was Batman, and it just popped. And I would sit there, and downstairs and just with my chin in my hands and just, watch this because it was so cool. Anyway, so, there you have it. But 88 years old, what can we say? It's not like, he wasn't taken untimely, but a big deal.